Now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, Ken, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on the Borders and Borders hotline. It's 412-575-2600. You can also tweet us at KD Pomp and at Gene Collier. Today, Art Rooney II made his first public appearance really since the end of the season, and I had a chance to do a one-on-one sit-down interview for television, and I know Ed Bouchette and a assorted amount of writers had an opportunity to meet with him as well. A lot of stuff discussed there, beginning with the Antonio Brown stalemate. He still has not yet called him back after all this time. Art Rooney kept a lot of doors open, but you get the feeling that that one is going to be slammed shut at some point. It's just a matter of time. And the question I have for you, Gene Collier, outstanding columnist of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, is Antonio Brown hurting himself by continually lashing out at people like he did tonight on Twitter once again? It's always a social media thing. We're talking about Antonio Brown responding to Emmanuel Sanders, who was critical of him, and even Bruce Arians. And if so, does that affect, you know, what the Steelers can get in return here if they have to make a deal?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, he looks worse and worse all the time, so potentially it does. You know, there's never any shortage of mistake-prone, I'll put it that way, mistake-prone NFL franchises, general managers. So, you know, I mean, I think there's a place for him eventually. But, you know, could he be hurting himself? I imagine.
Yeah, and I also don't think there's any time for reconciliation here, even though, again, Art Rooney kept that door open. He talked about Le'Veon Bell with me. I asked him, will you still tag him? They can. Will they? He hasn't ruled anything out there, but I would be shocked at this point, Gene, if they want to go back and reopen that door.
Yeah, it's not a transition tag. It's another full tag, which is a really expensive thing.
Yeah, but you would put it would be interesting to see Le'Veon Bell's reaction to it. Like, you don't sign it again, you're going to go 2 years without making all this money?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, one of the good things about the Antonio Bell situation is that it's given us something to talk about other than the Le'Veon Bell situation. So I'm not looking for the Le'Veon Bell situation to come back in any form.
He did not talk about an extension at this time for Mike Tomlin, although he didn't rule that out, said that's something that we take care of in the offseason. This is the time when a coach would get that, even though a lot of people around here seem to think they would be better off parting company. I don't get that view from Art Rooney. It seems like they're going to continue to do this, and no other coaching staff member changes will happen. He did hire a new running backs coach, Eddie Faulkner, out of NC State, a guy who coached Jalen Samuels, so he'll be there. What did you think about Mike Munchak? I think we all thought he was going to leave for this opportunity because of the family situation, but Sean Surratt has been on the staff for 5 years. He's worked closely with Mike Munchak. Therefore, you would think by osmosis he would learn a lot. They like that guy. He's the new O-line coach. Should they have looked elsewhere, or do you think this is the prudent move?
No, I think they really like this guy. As you said, he's been here for some time. It took them no time to replace Mike Munchak. They knew exactly what they wanted to do in that eventuality. So, I mean, I trust their instincts on this. No one else seems to trust their instincts, but I do.
Yeah, I do too. They've seen him up close and personal. I mean, it's 5 years worth of work, so you would know that. Chris Boswell will have company. His job is not guaranteed going into the new season. And what else did we talk about today? The potential for someone to help Mike Tomlin with replays, clock management, game issues. And it won't be somebody that they're going to create a position for. That is, they're not going to give a guy an exclusive job to do that, but they are going to look into bringing someone else up there, and I think that's the only way to go with all the technology available.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, every other team is doing this. Usually the Steelers are at the forefront of these kind of moves, so, you know, I think it's something apparently that Mike Tomlin has to get used to the idea of, but, you know, I think it's a good idea.
All right, we had some basketball news tonight as well as Penn State came back, looked like they were going to beat Iowa tonight, but they lost at home. And Duquesne went to Richmond, where they haven't won in 10 years, and they get a big win against the Spiders down there, 74-68, since they carry 21 points. We'll talk about that. The Penguins lost again last night. We'll get into that. And any Pirate talk you have, whatever, call us. This is your time to shine. 412-575-2600. It is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call on the Borders and Borders hotline. The Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call is brought to you by Ireland Contracting, Pittsburgh's #1 home exterior expert in roofing, siding, windows, and gutters.